Assalamu alaikum. Part two of my reaction to Dina Tokio, Safe Space. Do all Muslim women think the same? My two pens, part two.
It's worse for a woman to sin while wearing hijab.
Oh, are we having a break or what?
After a bit, yeah.
Wait, it's worse for a woman.
I think my thing with these, I disagree with the questions.
Yeah.
The question doesn't even make sense in the first place because wearing the hijab is a separate sin in and of itself. So, for example, we've got two sisters. One is wearing the hijab, one's not wearing the hijab, and they're both drinking alcohol together, for example. The sin doesn't somehow multiply just because one's wearing the hijab, and the sin doesn't, become less because she's not wearing the hijab. It's two separate things. So you've got to divorce the hijab from the action itself. Both are sinning the same way. It's just that the sister not wearing the hijab has got a separate sin, not related to the consumption of alcohol. Does that make sense? So the question doesn't make sense foundationally.
I think mine
It's not a question, it's a statement. And you either agree or disagree with the statement. It is worse for a woman to sin while wearing hijab.
Well, then if you want to be like.
Okay, we'll start off with the agreeers.
It's not speaking, yeah.
Okay, you're both hijabis, so it'll be good to hear some insight.
I mean, I feel like hijab is a visual way of showing that you're a Muslim, and it's a responsibility to people that you are representing Islam visually, clearly. So that's the way I think about it. Like, if I sin and I'm wearing the hijab, it might put other people off and uninvite them from, I don't know, coming to Islam, or like think, oh, look at these women and what they do. They use it as a cover, but behind the scenes, look what they do, you know? I came here just because I feel like it's a responsibility, and I always think of it of trying to invite other people to come to Islam by the way I represent it. So that's my take on it.
Like to say.
Yeah, she's right in a way. The hijab, outer appearance, it represents Islam. Most definitely whatsoever, but it still is the case that because you're wearing the hijab and you're sinning at the same time, that the sin doesn't just multiply because you're wearing the hijab. Other people's perceptions of Islam might be problematic, but that doesn't mean to say that your sin is multiplied in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because you're wearing the hijab and sin at the same time. Both get the exact same sin level, but it's just the one not wearing the hijab gets an additional sin, not related to the actual sin of the sin, whatever you're doing.
Say that we don't look at religion. Religion is not represented by people, and I don't like the fact that there's this thing that's been put out there where us hijabis are representing Islam. It's so much pressure on us to be perfect and not sin.
Like with this monolith, like we have to be this certain standard.
Exactly, and it's just, I feel like it's done too much pressure. I don't think it's fair. I think everyone sins, whether you're wearing a hijab or not, which it also means that the men that don't wear hijab can sin freely. So it's like, it's more pressure on women.
The punishment from the
Exactly. So,
you know what, I've heard a point a lot where I had someone who said that they really want to sin, but the thing that's stopping them from sinning is the hijab. And
I agree with this.
They want to take off the hijab.
Just
So
so
it's
they
like,
can-
just so they can sin freely. But I personally think before anything, you're human. So no matter what you're doing, I don't think that, I understand your point with representing, like we're physically representing Islam. So when somebody sees us, automatically she's Muslim. When somebody's not wearing a hijab, you're not going to assume that unless they do something in front of you.
He's going to repeat after me again that people shouldn't judge you and you're not perfect. We know that, but whether you like it or not, that's how society operates. That's the question. So like, now that
What's the question?
Yeah, can you repeat the question again?
at this unfair scale, what do you do as a person, as a Muslim, when you represent Islam? That's it.
In the end, you just do what you want because you're going to get judged regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think so. I think hijabis have a stronger.
Do what you want because you're going to get judged regardless. You're talking about being judged by other people. Dina, we're meant to be judged from the Quran and Sunnah. We judge ourselves based on the Quran and Sunnah. We judge each other based on the Quran and Sunnah. And in the end, it's Allah Ta'ala that's going to judge us. So you don't just do whatever you want, how you feel. I don't understand what you mean by that.
Balanced in representing Islam. I'd say a calm example, so we can all agree on. for example, if I'm out in central London and I'm trying to find a place to eat, if I see majority of Muslim hijabis there, I'm going to assume that place is halal. You know? So, and then imagine if I do go and it's not halal, I'm instantly going to not judge, but I'm going to let the hijabis know, hello, like, this is not halal, da 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 da.
We do it all the time. We do it all the time.
You're doing it, like, we are influencing other people, and you could be sinning and someone else can see that and then assume that that's okay in a religion for us to do.
But I don't think it's worse. I agree with that, but I don't think it's worse if you're wearing a hijab and you do that. I think regardless if you're not wearing a hijab, it's the same thing.
I think it's important to differentiate. When we say worse, we don't mean in the eyes of God. We mean communally, publicly, etc.
Well, see, this is the point now, brother. You meant to clarify this before the question's asked, because of course anyone's going to assume straight away that the hijabi that's sinning and the non-hijabi that's doing the same sin, you're thinking people are going to automatically think that the sin is multiplied for the hijab because she's representing Islam visually. So these clarifiers have to be there. You can't talk, in general, where, in the eyes of other people. We're meant to be talking about Allah Ta'ala and what He thinks on Yawm al-Qiyamah.
You're a man or a woman or wearing the hijab.
Whether hijab or not, it's a sin is a sin.
So why are we worrying about what society says then if we know what the religion is?
Because ultimately, even it's not strictly just for women, even men. Even for me as a person, if my name being my name, if I go do something publicly and my name's now in the news, we have an image for Islam, which is bad, obviously. Because ultimately, we want to bring people towards Islam, not push them away from it.
Sinning publicly shouldn't be allowed regardless, but I'm saying, like, we won't be able to tell if a man is Muslim or not, but you can tell when a woman...
When they read them.
Majority of the time.
Yeah, majority of the time, yeah.
Because there are non-hijabi Muslims, I'm just saying majority of the time, Muslim women do wear the hijab, so you do have to represent it. And when we wear the hijab, we understand that and we take that with us. Like, that's like in the contract. Like, that's the reason why a lot of women struggle to wear the hijab, because there's so much responsibility in doing that. And that's why women that do wear the hijab, it's a big applaud for them.
But I don't think the main reason for us wearing hijab is to represent Islam. I think the hijab is about modesty and like hiding your beauty.
It is modesty, but you're also representing them.
I think one thing I would add is that I think a lot of people do see, I think we're just seeing like the pacification of knowledge, where people see someone else doing this and they know in their mind what they're doing, for example, is wrong, it's a sin, but they will do it just because they go, oh, she's doing it. But you as an adult should think for yourself and know. You shouldn't be that influenced by other people's behaviours. I mean, I guess that's idealistic as well.
Yeah, exactly. Ideally, we shouldn't be influenced by other people's behaviours, definitely not, but unfortunately that does happen. As Nabi Allah Muhammad mentions in the hadith, that you are upon the religion of your friends. So if you're around people that are sinning all the time, you're going to be, if you're around three people that are sinning all the time, you're going to be that fourth person. There's another hadith to that effect as well, where it says that if you hang around a blacksmith all day, you're going to smell like a blacksmith. If you're around someone that sells oud all day and perfumes all day, you're going to smell like perfume. So you're a product of your environment. And ideally, it shouldn't be the case, but Nabi Allah Muhammad had that foresight. He mentions that quite clearly. Hadith Sahih.
But
it's easier said than done. Society will issue.
Exactly. It's too idealistic for me to say that.
Everyone wants to belong.
Yeah.
Like, you get, that's biological. Like.
Yeah, I think just allowing that space for people to be human, and again, I think everyone has a responsibility to respect. All of us have the responsibility to represent Islam properly.
Just a question out of interest then for you guys is, if you saw the two exact same sins, one being done by a hijabi, one being done by a non-hijabi, do you honestly think you'd look at it any differently?
No.
Yes. I think people would.
I think we all, well...
We would, in a little bit subconsciously, Islam said here, because at the end of the day, we still look a certain way.
So you said yes?
Yes. A prime example.
You said yes?
A prime example, if you're walking in the park and you see a couple sitting down, like a non-hijabi couple kissing, you wouldn't even bat an eye.
Yeah.
If you now see a hijabi kissing a man, they might be married, but still, that's sinning publicly. So, yes.
If I see a non-hijabi smoking and a hijabi smoking, I'm not going to judge them differently. I'm not going to lie.
You're not going to. But they're saying you basically look at the hijabi first. Just naturally, you're just going to do it, even though you don't mean it.
This generation doesn't do it.
That's idealistic. That's the idealistic standard. I wish everyone was like.
Our generation, subconsciously, we will judge, but then we'll have to stop ourselves and be like, erase the thought, because it's a work in progress. But this generation, my friends who are this age, they're not doing this, which is a good thing. It is. Because like we're finding it hard to believe that. Like we're like, but you wouldn't actually. But actually,
for some people, they just have it in them where they're just going to
most
look at
people
them.
would like, have the opinion like, oh, she shouldn't be doing that.
Come back to the middle, guys. Therapy is not necessary. Just praying is enough.
Interesting question.
Therapy is not necessary.
Yeah, I think it is, honestly.
All right, we've got the strong disagreeers. We can start with you.
That's like the same people that say, "Oh, you got jinn in you. You're crazy. You got jinn in you. You're possessed by the."
Right, okay. From my perspective, this question, I think you need both, 100%. Definitely 100% you should be praying 5 times a day. And I do find that some people that do have mental health issues, they're not busying themselves with trying to perfect the character and really try and become a real ambassador and really internalize Islam as the hope the Sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu the Quran and Sunnah, and that can be problematic. But yeah, I mean, if there's like some really bad like mental health issues, 100%, you need to be going seeking that professional help as well. So you never ever trivialize the spiritual aspect by saying that praying is not going to help at all, because it definitely 100% does. We're crying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making dua, telling him everything, about your sins, about your day, but about everything, making dua, generally speaking, it does wonders for your mental health. It really, really does. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go and seek that professional help as well. They can go into the inner dimensions of your mind and really speak about the issues and how you think, essentially.
Devil, actually, there's just something called mental health, and yes, you do need therapy, and you do need diagnosis, and you need help.
Yeah, I don't agree with that example, but
I'm giving an extreme one, but yeah.
Like, therapy is necessary for like an average person who lives in this capitalist crazy world that we live in, like not necessarily for reasons related to religion. Like prayer, of course, does the job. Like you feel like you're talking to God. It puts you at ease, but definitely there are things in life, people you meet that traumatize you, that cause you certain experiences. So I feel like
what is therapy? It's just talking.
Yeah, it's healthy. It's
not just talking. It's not just talking. It's patterns.
Like you said, therapy is talking. You might as well talk to God.
It's not just talking.
Why can't you do both? Why can't you seek professional help?
You can.
But therapy is not talking. It's mostly just.
Yeah, but then you contradict yourself there, Dina, by saying that it's just talking. And the brother did make a good point. Why you just talk to God then? Therapy is not just talking. Therapy is, trying to establish patterns of thought. Why you think this way? What triggered this, what triggered that's not just talking.
Understanding the pattern of how you think, why you feel that way, it's, I wouldn't say just talking, laying around and like,
because it doesn't.
No, it's not just talking.
Well, but there's different therapies.
So we've got one agreeer.
I agree to a certain extent. So I think therapy is necessary, because I don't think therapy is paying for a therapist. Therapy could be your family, your friends, whoever, you can talk to them, but I think that sometimes
that's a form of therapy. It's not the same thing as actually go seek professional help.
And so many different opinions on topics. Your head is so muddled, and sometimes you just need to get on that prayer mat.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm not entirely on that side as well.
Yeah, that's why I'm on slightly agree, because I believe that no matter what problem you have, you speak to Allah about it.
Yeah.
As long as you're within the religion, like it's obviously speaking about Muslims, I think that going on the prayer mat and literally just letting it out, especially with men, I feel like men, it's so much harder for them to speak. And it's considered as gay, like, oh, why have you got a therapist? Like, it's a bit feminine. So I've heard of like.
No, yeah, I mean, I've definitely heard this in some Muslim communities where seeking therapy, mental health is non-existent, and that definitely is problematic, and it does 100% exist, and this is why therapists and things like that does exist. So yeah, that is something that needs to happen. To have conversations with. It's mainly coming from the elders. Have them conversations with them that it does in fact exist, and it's not weakness to go to a therapist. I've had to speak to a therapist myself.
A lot of men and family like that just literally crying the prayer mat to God. So I'm not saying no therapy is allowed, but I think that depending on how close you are to Islam and how strong your iman is, I think when you find that freedom of just talking to Allah, it's better than speaking to someone.
I think, but it's not either or. I think it's not either or.
Yeah,
yes, both.
Yeah,
both.
You can
It's
do
not.
both.
That's just enough.
Yeah.
I think it depends on who. If you've tried a bit of both, and then, like me personally, I've tried a bit of both, and I think
it's not a bit of both. It's doing both at the same time. So it's not like try this, try praying for a bit, stop praying, and then go to see a therapist, see if that works, and then you go to the therapist, that don't work, I'll go back to praying. No, you've got to do both at the same time. Simultaneous. I can never say that word. Simultaneous. That word. You know what I'm saying? that's what should happen in reality. We shouldn't just be like picking and choosing which one we think is going to work, or trying both out. You know what I mean? Both.
Because there's so many judgmental people out there, and I have friends, alhamdulillah, that are there for me and family, but sometimes I'm such an avoidant, so I don't like speaking about my problems. I feel like I'm being a burden to people.
What about couples therapy? What if like you've got a marriage and they're having problems and they need to sort it out? You need a therapist because sometimes you just can't sort it out between you. And praying, how's that going to sort out?
It depends what type of problem it is, because if it's the obvious and you're not emotionally intelligent, why are we having these issues? Like, it's known for us in our culture anyways, like, go to your most trusted person, so like your mom or dad, if there's any, you're not meant to go to anyone for your issues, but whoever you're close to, be like, so I'm having this issue, this and that. I'm not going to give you like the full on like in depth of that problem, but what would you recommend I do?
Brain operates. Yeah, because you know, like it's like when you are studying for an exam, you can't just pray and pray and pray and not revise or do anything to actually help yourself. Like you're not going to sit there and pray, Ya Rab, I get this amazing job, but you're not actually actively seeking or doing anything. It doesn't work like that.
But then you'd
also
also
look after yourself as well.
I feel like when people have a lot of tawakkul, then that's when they're like, they'll go through hardship.
Yeah, and she mentions there, you briefly said it's true. People have got this idea that, you know, if I just make dua for the job, or, you know, to make dua that I pass the exam, then, you know, Allah's just going to give me the exam. And people think, no, it's qadar Allah, what will be, which is true in a sense, but there's also the hadith, Nabi Allah Muhammad also mentions, when a sahabi asked him, should I just leave the camel untied and just have trust in Allah? Nabi Allah Muhammad said, do both. He said, tie the camel and have trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning you do the work and make dua.
A lot of hardships, and just being, I'm not saying just being on the prayer mat, it could be going to the mosque, it could be like...
They had trust. They had trust that whatever the outcome is, and they're okay with that.
I feel like there's a lot of people that I know personally, and it's more tied to what she's saying in terms of men, that when they, for example, open the Quran and they're reading, and there's verses that Allah is speaking directly to the believers and saying things like, there's no burden that I will bear you, that you can't carry and whatnot. I know that for them, that is more beneficial to them than ever talking about it to any random person or a therapist.
That's why I agree with the fact that it's a combination of both. I don't think that it's... Well, I just think also we're living in a time where we're even having this conversation. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, did they have this opportunity to have therapy? Like, it speaks to the time we're living in.
But then you see that person that we're talking about, that you should have that person.
Yeah.
You agree, right?
Yeah.
But should that person, for Muslims, come from a religious background maybe? Because there's things in, like you said, in hadith, in Quran, that are very specific and clear on ways to better yourself and better your emotions and whatnot, in terms of Islamically. If you go to someone else, they might not be able to give you any religious insight. And if that's the case, then how much will it really help you?
But sometimes it doesn't need religious insight, because the way we're even talking about this is like, it gives so many people exits for and excuses to manipulate religion, or for people who are in the religion to take the piss, basically, all under the guise of like, you can't go to therapy, you just need to pray. Why? Because you're going to get exposed if she finds out. It's based on knowledge.
Oh, right, okay.
Like,
a trusted religious figure doesn't have to be any random sheikh. It could be someone you know, you trust. You can have a family member, you can have an uncle.
The craft is saying doesn't.
Yeah, but I hear what Dina's saying is that probably definitely does happen. You know, manipulating. I don't like the term manipulation of religion, because they're actually maybe you're right to some extent. But there's nothing in Islam to say that you can't go and seek therapy. So it's just people's jahil once again and culture once again.
Yes, you could, but why are we so against somebody who's studied psychology and is qualified and put in the work?
There's a lot of anecdotal evidence that people go to therapy speaking to these psychologically trained people and they don't get better.
Yeah,
it's never really about the final result, because with mental health, it's no one solution. It's always a journey.
We'll go to the next one. You can be too religious.
You can?
You can.
Can be too religious.
What is
crazy?
I'll be honest.
There's so many layers to it.
I don't understand that question. Can you elaborate?
You take it as you want. You can be too religious.
You
so
can.
if you're there, you think you can be too religious. If you're there, you think you can't.
I just don't.
It doesn't make.
The question doesn't make sense.
Okay. We'll go with the agreeers first because they moved there kind of early.
I think there's different schools of thoughts. Yeah, and so for example, some believe that you have to wear the niqab and it's an obligation. And some don't. So I think the people that think that you do have to and it's an obligation, I think they're extremely religious.
No, that's just a difference of opinion in them. That you can't say a valid difference of opinion is too extreme. That's just someone's opinion. What someone can't do. So, for example, if you take an opinion, which is also valid, that the face is not the awrah and you just have to wear the hijab, and you don't have to cover your face, and someone's trying to force their opinion on you, then that's just their jahl once again. It's not them. You could say they're being too extreme, but it's the actual opinion in and of itself that they follow is not extreme. That is just a valid difference of opinion in the madhahib.
It's valid difference of opinion, too religious or not too religious or whatever. Because if it's a difference of opinion, everyone should know that some schools of thought say that you have to, or some say you have to, some say you don't.
Yeah.
That doesn't, if you do or you don't, it doesn't make you too religious. It's just an
I think it just makes you on the on the safer side. You know, like if you do this, then culturally you're too religious. But that's how I use that term.
Can I just say, how are we measuring religiosity?
Great question.
Do you know what I mean?
That's why it's up to you. That's why I'm not being specific. It's up to you. What do you think is religiosity, or do you think you can be too religious? It's up to you.
Well, then I disagree on the basis of the fact that, again, everything comes back to your relationship with God is between you and God. Anyone on the outside of that is, how are they going to... No one really knows you inside out except God. And how you practice your religion, you'll follow a school of thought, you adhere to certain things, and you have a principled manner in which you approach everything in your life. And then if you're doing everything, what are the metrics? You know,
the metrics is the Quran, the Sunnah, the way of the Salaf. That is the metrics. It's objective. All of the madhahib, all of the denominations, the Albani, Brelwiya, the Salafis, Sufis, whatever you want to call yourself, all of them agree that the first few generations of Muslims, Kitab wa Sunnah, Al-Fam Salaf wa Salih, that is the baseline, the standard. That's how we judge one another.
How you dress, are you praying, are you following all the 5 pillars, are you embodying good character at the same time? You can be doing all these things. I still would not say you're too religious.
Like for an example, it could be someone does not have certain outings in certain places because they don't want to free mix or they don't want to listen to music. Or
like people who don't go to weddings, for example.
Yeah, they don't go to weddings where music is played. I know people will definitely call that. Some people call that.
I think that's quite rigid.
If anything is in an extreme, it's not.
How can you say that's rigid, Dina, when it's quite clear, Kitab Sunnah, that music's haram? There's no difference of opinion there. I mean, there's even statements from Ibn Abbas, who was the Hujjat al-Quran, that Nabi Allah Muhammad called him the proof of the Quran. And he mentions, I forgot the verse now, but he's talking about idle talk, and he said, Wallahi, this is music, Wallahi, this is music, Wallahi, this is music. He said it 3 times. He didn't say it once, he said it 3 times, that this is music. And it's referring to idle talk. And then, this clear-cut ayat and, a hadith, Nabi Allah Muhammad also mentioning that free mixing is haram. This is not something which is remotely permissible whatsoever. And you can't now say that going to Tesco, this and that. There's a difference between going to a place where you know that there's going to be, a place where you know that there's going to be free mixing, which is like an organised event, or going to Tesco. I mean, there's a difference.
It's not healthy.
I agree.
Everyone
That's
knows
the question. What is extreme?
Well, this is the thing. So if someone is too religious, where it's making them do things, or like, what's too religious? Like,
you call jihadists too religious.
Yeah.
They're extreme.
Okay, but then then they're actually not religious at all, are they? They're not religious.
They believe that
They believe it. So these are the people that need therapy.
So, well, this is the point. They don't need therapy. Well, probably do need therapy, but this is the point. We go back to the first few generations of Muslims. So, if someone brings forth an ayah of the Quran or hadith Nabi Allah Muhammad, or and they come up with an understanding of these ayats and these hadiths, and they say, "Well, this is my understanding, and this gives me justification to be a quote unquote jihadist and going out and blowing up themselves on a train or something." This is where misguidance occurs. This is why we go back to the first few generations of Muslims and how they understood it. Best generations on my generation that came after, generation that came after. This is our standard, and this is where our understanding has to come from. Doesn't matter if they think they're being religious. It's what the Quran and Sunnah says.
These are the people that do therapy though. It is.
Yeah.
So like they're not too religious because like who's too? Then by that definition, then the Prophet ﷺ was too religious.
Exactly.
He's like the Prophet. Everyone's striving to be like that.
Yeah, but then it's impossible for him to be too religious when he's the standard.
That's what I'm saying. If you're too religious, like you can't be too religious because the people that think that or you're saying too religious is because you're stupid and you're not actually religious.
So do you think it's just religious or not?
Extreme, and then at the end they end up being in this cult-like situation,
religious,
and it's not.
They go off innovation. So they add stuff to Islam. I think that's what.
So anything that's not balanced is.
I agree, and I think it goes back to temperaments as well. The kind of person you are, whatever your temperament is, you tend to follow whatever school of thought naturally feels right for you. And I'm not.
Sorry.
No, go for it. Well, that's because we all have different, personalities and types, and I think I can't ever sit here and judge someone's religiosity. How do you say it, guys? You know that word?
Religiosity.
Yeah, I can't judge that because everyone's different. How I practice, it could be too extreme for someone else, but for someone else, that's their standard. Everyone, I do believe, has a different temperament.
So say you're either religious or not.
No, I disagree. I think your how you practice your religion, it might seem religious to some people or not religious to others, but it's between you and God.
Okay, I have an example. Let's say you have person A, person B.
Yeah.
Person A prays, there are 5 prayers. Person B prays, no prayers.
Of course, that's not taking out the fold of Islam then,
Okay, but so it's person
Exactly,
A,
no.
person B.
No, I would say she is probably struggling to give you the answer because she's not there judging because she knows that's not her job to do.
That's how I feel.
We're asking an opinion. We're asking an opinion, yeah.
Well, but
Even having that
if you're able to have that opinion,
Yeah.
then you already are there in that mindset.
That's how I see it.
Look,
Oh,
for
better
example,
than you.
look,
Because I never see it that
doesn't
way.
affect any of us here whether or not the other person prays. It's not my business, not your business, not her business, not
Exactly.
As it should be.
But the question is, there is a book and there is a standard that we follow.
Yeah, but why are you policing some random person?
How are we policing it?
I'm saying,
Enjoying the good and forbidding the evil, my dear sister.
the fact that we need an answer to the person that prays 5 times and the person that doesn't, you have no idea.
I'm not with that person 24/7. I don't know what they're doing in their home, if they're praying or
You know
not.
nothing about them.
I don't
So
know
the fact
them.
that you even want to
Have
have this
this-
conclusion in your head means you need some therapy. Wallahi, it does.
I don't agree.
Genuinely need to. Well, like, why do you feel the need
To know.
to even? The only thing you should feel the need to do is think the best, and that's it. And if they prove wrong, then stay away from that.
Yeah, because why are we holding people to a standard?
Yeah, husnul dhan is definitely something that every Muslim needs to have on one another, have husnul dhan, have good thoughts of people. But once again, if somebody's like outwardly sinning or outwardly telling you that they don't pray or something like that, then it's wajib upon us to actually tell them that they are wrong. And we give them the adillah, kitab wa sunnah, al-fahma salaf wa salih.
I think it's measuring each other's,
Okay.
It's actually very easy to do the right and normal thing.
What you're saying makes sense.
God told us that we have to pray, so there are certain standards that are deal breakers, if that makes sense. My English is not helping me much, but you have to pray, you have to fast, you have to do all these things. Like if you don't do them, you're not practicing. You're not practicing. I don't know what the judgment is.
Well, this is the point now. Now, we're praying 5 times a day, where regardless of the opinion that you follow related to the praying of 5 times a day, hukm has been attached to it, and that hukm is kufr. That if you leave it off, tarkutu salah is kufr. Where you become a disbeliever. Now, it doesn't matter like how you want to address it. Does it mean that if you don't pray at all, that you're a kafir, or if you pray just Jummah, for example, does that make you still in the fold of Islam? It doesn't matter. The amal of missing a salah, a hukm of kufr has been attached to it. And it's the only sin in al-Islam where that is the case. Not for zina, not for consumption of alcohol, not for murder, not for being, attracted to the same gender. All these things here that I've just mentioned do not have a hukm of kufr attached to it. It's only the salah that has a hukm of kufr, regardless of how you want to make ta'wil or do whatever with it.
You're not physically practicing them. That's it.
Yeah, but then you're not.
That's not where that stops.
No, you can't.
Kuffr's attached
This
to
goes
it.
back to what I think you might feel strongly about is assuming or basing someone else's position in their faith, because we will never truly know what someone's ultimate journey is going to be, if they're going to end up where, you know, because we don't know what people are doing in their homes.
Of course, I'm not judging.
Yeah.
But just like if you see something, you know that
Yeah,
these are the
someone's not
boxes
praying.
that needs to be checked for this
Ideally,
person to be qualified as a practicing Muslim, for example.
Yeah, like there's certain criteria that you're saying. So like if you're doing X, Y, Z, 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 you're a Muslim.
Yeah.
But then if someone's not doing that, who am I to say you're not Muslim? That's how I feel.
That's where the point comes in, because
of the hadith Nabi Allah Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So if somebody's not praying at all, hukum of kufr is applied to them. We take the nas, we take the nas, inshallah.
if somebody's judging you, wouldn't you say that they're being too religious?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's
Literally.
why I agree with you.
Abdullah ibn Umar was too religious then, according to you, my sister. We judge from what is manifest outwardly of their actions.
Can be too religious, because then when somebody mentioned the madhabs, like you can pray a certain way. Now I'm praying. Khalas, I've done my 5 daily prayers. Now someone's watched me. Tahiyyat like this.
Yeah.
No, you can't do it like they have to do it like this. Now I personally would be like, you're being a bit too religious now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not being too religious. First of all, what I would say straight away is that person's completely incorrect for saying that the way you're praying is incorrect. Because if I do ata'ayatulillah salawatu wa ta'ibat, whether you do it like this, whether you do it like that, or whether you just stop with the shahada when the shahada stops, with the Hanafi madhab, then that is a valid difference of opinion in the madhab. Now, there's a beautiful story of Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi. He went to the makan of Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi in Kufa, and obviously Imam Abu Hanifa at this point passed away rahmatullahi alayhi, and Imam Shafi'i prayed in his masjid, in Imam Abu Hanifa's masjid where he taught, and his students was with him as well. And Imam Shafi'i, guess what? He prayed the way Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi prayed. He prayed exactly like according to the Hanafi madhab. The student asked him, "Ya Sheikh, why are you praying like this when it's not according to your school of thought, according to your madhab?" And he basically replied with, "For respect for the person in that grave," meaning the Imam Abu Hanifa. He prayed according to the madhab of Hanafiya. This just shows unity in the ummah. So if you pray with your hand up here as a man, or below the navel, or you pray with your hands down by your side like the Malikis do, everybody agrees that your salah, inshallah, is valid, and you have prayed. It's an accepted prayer. Anyone that says that because you're not doing the atahiyyat like the way I do, by doing this or whatever the case may be, then yeah, they are being extreme. But you can't see they're being too religious. That's just jahil. This is just being ignorant. It's ignorance of the other, or and intolerant of the other madhahib.
So I think that's what the point of it is. But I do get your points. But that's where I say people can be a bit extra.
So I agree with you on a point like that.
Yeah.
There's valid difference of opinion. What if there's no difference of opinion? What if, for example, we have the hadith, we have the Quran, if they say to you, you need to pray, you need to fast, you need to pay your zakat, you need
That's
to...
not being too religious, that's the standard, that's a bin.
Exactly.
Right, but obviously the other side saying that's judgmental.
Yeah, because I think their point is nobody should tell you what to do. That if you're Muslim, you should know to do that.
It's
but
a
for
standard.
somebody to be saying,
But I'm not here to judge
It's like
that.
what Jenna was saying. If that's the standard,
Yeah.
and you say we can't judge that standard, but if the Prophet saw that, he would say.
And that's,
Yeah,
that's the point.
but this
So if we're trying to-
I'm
but
not.
this is the thing.
Yeah.
Nobody on this earth is
the
anywhere
Prophet.
near what the Prophet is. So the fact that you feel like, oh, because the Prophet did it, I'm going to do it. No, who, like...
Nobody here claims that we like the Prophet Muhammad. Of course, Nabi Allah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is the best of mankind, the best creation to ever walk the earth. He's the best, and he should be someone that is followed to the best of our ability. But all because we're nowhere near the level of Nabi Allah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that doesn't mean to say that we can't join the good and forbid the evil. So how do you know, like the Imam and the Sheikh, they're not praying 5 times a day? Is that Imam's job, or someone that's really religious job now, to bring that person closer to really make sure that they're on the correct path? Because end of the day, like there's a hadith that mentions that a true believer is the one that wants the best for their brother. What's the best? The best is the one that is closer to Jannah. And how do you get closer to Jannah? By following the Nas, by following the Quran, by following the Sunnah. And this is it. All because we're not like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That doesn't mean we can't emulate and try and be like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and join good and forbid the evil and bring people closer.
That's a huge...
I feel like, the ultimate.
I believe it's always coming from a place of judgment.
to judge, but we genuinely want to advise.
That's fine.
We think this is.
Then you do it privately.
Then the person who receives that
Privately, yes, if the sin's done in private. So if the sin's done in private and that person's come to you for advice to how to get out of the sin and you publicise it, you get the sin. But there's an opinion that Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi clearly mentions, and his Majmu' al-Fatawa mentions, that anyone that sins publicly, for example, if say somebody, Muslim man or woman, does a video saying that, I don't know, khamr is halal, for example, drinking alcohol is halal according to Islam, that is obviously kufr and it's istihlal and it takes out the fold of Islam. But let's say they're drinking, just not saying they're placing hook, they're just drinking alcohol and they're putting it on video. It's wajib upon every single Muslim to refute that person publicly. Ibn Taymiyyah says, because the sin is done publicly, therefore it should be refuted publicly. If something's done in sin, that Allah Ta'ala knows best, inshallah ta'ala. If they make tawbah, they make tawbah. But if it's done publicly, because that sin that's done publicly can potentially cause other people to do the exact same sin. Because people, as we mentioned before, are a product of their environment, and if people see this, it can be problematic. But inshallah, if it's done in private, it's done in private. It's a different matter altogether.
advice will be the receiver, and if they feel like that was helpful, then you'll either know about it or you won't, or you'll know that I should have.
So are you saying that all Muslims are the same and there's no spectrum? Yeah, so people can be too religious and people can be less.
They can, but my point is, they're not too religious. They're too judgmental. They're not religious. Because to be religious is not to even be like that. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we're taking too religious, and it's basically we're using it to. It's a negative thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're too religious. Okay, so then they're not religious at all, actually, because the religion is. You know what I mean?
Okay, we'll close that one off.
I am autistic, so I take everything literally. So
I think that's what it is. I think everyone's a bit different.
Okay, next prompt.